So I've shot a couple of videos showing how I make sea glass and sea pottery and experimenting with that. And I realized that was kind of funny because that's very little of my free time. I actually spend a lot of my free time on my hobbies of sewing, which is what I'm really starting my business to sell. So this is a video of to show you how I make one of the simplest items that I'm planning to sell. And it's, I call them a slim card holder. So it is just ridiculously simple. And it's made so it'll fit either a business card or a credit card. And if there's a chance you're going to put something in here like a credit card or anything with a chip, I really encourage you to use RFID fabric, which is what all of mine have in here, in this layer. Several years ago, I had all my credit card numbers stolen while credit cards were very safely in my wallet. Turns out if people with some type of technology they get like kind of close to you, they can steal all the numbers. So that's nice. So anyway, I'm going to show you how I make these credit card holders. Okay, so the card holder is made of 4 pieces of fabric plus the RFID fabric, which is this. It's really fabric, but it's this like metallic fabric. So what you need is this is 4.5 by 6 inches long, and this is going to be the exterior fabric. And then this will be the interior fabric. This is also 4.5 by 6 inches long. And then you need 2 pieces of fabric that are going to be 4.5 by 5 inches long, and that's going to make these two the interior pockets. So to start off with, you're going to take these 2 pieces, the short pieces, the 4.5 by 5, and you're going to fold them along the long side. So in other words, this will be 4.5 by 2.5 inches when it's folded. So once you fold that, I'm gonna iron this so I get a real nice crease, and then I'm gonna top stitch it so it stays folded like this. Okay, so as I said, I folded these, I ironed them to get a really nice crease, and then I just top stitched them to stay folded. So now, next thing is simply to put it all together. So I'm going to take the interior fabric and lay the 2 pockets on here. Making sure, obviously, that the 2 top stitches are facing each other. Then, of course, always with sewing, it's good side to good side. And then I'm going to place the RFID fabric on top. So very often I cut the RFID fabric just a little bit smaller than I actually want to, because I don't like cutting RFID fabric the full length, because it just makes it difficult. In other words, I try to cut it. So this fabric is 4.5 by 6 inches, which means finished it will be 4 by 5.5 inches. So I like to cut the RFID fabric just slightly larger than 4 by 5.5 inches. Just so, because otherwise it's just going to be extra bulk that I'm going to have to sort of cut off to get it to fold over nicely. So I am just going to clip everything in place. So I'm hoping I can at least get it stitched on one seam. If not, I just sort of stick it in there. So anyway, so I'm going to clip everything together. And then I'm going to stitch all around the edge, but leaving an opening so that I can turn it inside out. Okay, so I cut the RFID fabric just the tiniest bit too small, but I was able to get it off to one side so that I could get it stitched in, which makes turning this thing inside out a lot easier, or outside in, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, so as you can see, I've stitched a quarter seam all around the perimeter, just leaving this opening. And so now what I'm going to do, just to make it a little bit, let it lie flat, is just cut off the corners, making sure not to cut, of course, into the stitching. Just like that. I think, actually, I'm going to cut a little bit of this excess fabric. It just, you know, helps it when you turn it inside out to lay smooth. Okay, so I'll just cut the edges, like I said, the corners, so that'll turn a little bit easier. Okay, and then this is my handy dandy high-tech bamboo skewer. Bamboo skewers are like my favorite tool. I did cut the pointy part off of this one, but I'm going to use that. So anyway, so again, now to turn it inside out. Now I'm going to go iron it flat. Okay, so now I've ironed it flat, and I also ironed the edges that I flattened them so that I can just top stitch right here. And then I'll be finished. So let me go do that. Okay, and it's done. I've just top stitched the opening close, and voila, that's it. It's a really simple project. One note, I rather like top stitching, and I rather would have liked to top stitch all around the perimeter, but if you do so, basically it makes it so small, the opening becomes, you know, even more narrow, and it can be difficult to get cards in there. Even though it looks nicer with it, I don't do it. And that's why. Of course, you could make this even bigger so that you can top stitch it, but that's starting to defeat the point. So, anyway, that was this project. Hope you enjoyed it. Please put any questions in the comments, and I'll try to answer them if there are any. And happy sewing.